Let's see if we can memorize the unit circle. Make 5 cuts at every quadrant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go around and make 5 cuts at each quadrant. Now what I want us to do is to go around the circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to count by 15 degrees. Let's count by 15s. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, and so on, all the way around. So, initial observations. Perhaps you see some locations that are somewhat new. 15, 75. It seems like the first and last of each quadrant, it seems like those are new angles that we really don't play with very often. And you're right, but I leave them there for a purpose. At the end of this, we could erase those if you don't like them. I want us to go around the circle again, but this time we are going to count by pi over 12, okay? Let's go through and count by pi over 12. Why? Well, because 15 degrees is the same as pi over 12. If you convert from one format to the other, they're the same thing. So let's count all throughout the circle by pi over 12. This is what I'm saying. 1 pi over 12, 2 pi over 12, 3 pi over 12, 4 pi over 12, 5 pi over 12, 6 pi over 12, all the way around. Continue that process. Okay, so we have just completed all of the degrees and all of the radians, where some of these radians would have to be reduced to lowest terms. For instance, 6 pi over 12, if you reduce it, that's just pi over 2, which is what we believe or what we know this to be. So you'd have to go through and reduce the radian measures. If you want, now would be a good time to throw away the ones that are not often used, like this one here, that one there. We could throw some of those away. Really, the only thing left to discuss would be all of the coordinates, okay? Now recall that in quadrant 1, it's positive, positive. Here it's negative, positive. And in quadrant 3, it would be double negative. And then in quadrant 4, positive, negative. As for the numbers themselves, well, recall the extreme ends. So here we have 1, 0. Then what would this be? 0, 1. Just put it right there. And then negative 1, 0, right in front of me. And then 0, negative 1. As for the remaining center pieces, recall that we play with 30, 45, 60. These we throw away, okay? So let's go to 30. And I suppose that's the one that you really have to memorize, okay? That one there, because then you can just flip-flop them for the 60 marker. And once you have these ones, right, once you know this one, you can find the one that's directly across from it by just switching the signs. Once you know this one, you can find the one that's underneath it by switching the signs. And this one gives you back this one here, switch the signs. The same for this one. If you know the 60, you know the 120, and you know the, the 240 and the 300, okay? And then of course, the ones in the diagonal center, those are the friendliest ones of them all because the coordinates are essentially the same number, just positives and negatives in the respective quadrant. So this is one way of memorizing the unit circle. You should try this on your own a few times. I'm sure you'll be more efficient in terms of you probably won't have to label these ones if you don't want, but it's a good, safe process. Counting by 15s and then counting by pi 12ths. Reduce the radians, copy and paste the signs in all of the quadrants, And with enough practice, you'll be able to do this in a heartbeat.